have reached the voicemail box of... At the tone, please record your voice message.
Hello, folks. Mitch, Triple Double Sports Cards. Video number 7 and more fun in the next 10 or 15 minutes, including a reveal of the very first submission I did to PSA, which was part of the platinum subscription that I got, 15 cards. And the title to today's video is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So let's start with the ugly. Out of the 15 cards I submitted, there was one that I did not get a grade on. Why? So we're going to flip the camera. I'm sorry, it's a little dark here, but this is the front-facing camera, and you're going to see that this was the Kareem Abdul rookie sticker card. In this submission, I had 15 cards total. I had 8 Scottie Pippen rookies. I had a bunch of other Flair stickers and an Olajuwon, an Olajuwon 86 rookie card that I got a 9 on, so that's going to be part of the good. But you can see that this was labeled as minimum size required, so dang it. You know this thing when it's a 10 or a 9 gets, I know a 9 gets like, I want to say like $1,500, and a 10 might get like $4 or $5 grand. Very hard to get this card in perfect shape, but the corners were sharp. It was very centered, as you can see, but it was miscut by less than a 1/16 of an inch. Boo! So that certainly was frustrating. So, hey, that is the ugly. Now, let's get to the rest of the video, and let's go ahead and do some sharing here. So the first thing that we have is the Scottie Pippen rookie cards. I got 8 of them back. I submitted 8, and most of them were 9s. I think I had an 8. I had 2 7s. That's the bad. What? 2 7s? And I did have a 10. So what you're about to see is the 7, the 8, the 9, and the 10, and the Y. So the first glance on this, and this is why I was so frustrated. I'm going, okay, is this card centered okay? Yeah, because I kind of made sure that when I sent them in. If you saw my pre-submission, which I did a video on this card as well as the entire 15, it looked pretty good. So, you know, now that I have put this through the scanner, and before I go any further, I want to thank Matt, because last week at PSA Collector, I could not remember his name. And it's Matt at PSA Collector. And he was the one that said, if you're going to do this right, get a scanner. And I did that. And boy, it's not just good for doing videos like this, but it's going to be great for me deciding on whether I actually want to submit cards or not, because you're going to see why I should have never submitted this card. So there's the 7. And now right below me, look at the corners. Ooh, that's pretty good. Oh, it must be those lower corners that were so bad, right? No, look at those lower corners. They're good. So what in the heck is going on? Well, let's jump straight to the 10. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is the same thing. We're gonna go and look at the centering. I could argue that the centering isn't as good. Top to bottom, it is close to perfect. Left to right, though, weighted to the right. So we know the corners can't be any better because the last corners weren't maybe perfect, but they were close enough. So then I did a little more digging, and here's what you're gonna find out. So here's a new word we're going to use in the business. I'm making it up. Snowstorm. This is where there's specks on the printing of the card because the ink doesn't adhere appropriately to the card for whatever reason. And you can see now as you get into the body of this photo, there are some issues. I'm going to move me up here a little bit further to the right. See that? Oh gosh, yeah, there is a little bit of speckling, and it goes down on the borders of the card as well. It's all over the place. I'm going, well, yeah, but that's not that bad, is it? And why should it go from a whatever 9, 8, 10? And then I look down here and look at what this looks like, where you have the name of the team and the position. It is a snowstorm, and I'm sure that had to be what turned this into a 7. So it was certainly disappointing, but lesson learned when you're, and I'm going to say this and probably be really accurate, when you're submitting any of this 1988 Flair stuff, look at that. I'm not sure if the Cleveland Cavaliers, the the bottom part there isn't white against blue, and the, you know, Lakers isn't white against purple. But whatever that background is, if you want to call it that, make sure that the printing is solid, and there are not the issues that there were on this card. So I'm going to jump quickly to the back of this card. Centering is okay, not great. We won't spend too much time there. Let's go to this 8. So top to bottom, not perfect, not bad. Left to right, not perfect, not bad. But now, even from afar, you can begin to see that the coloration is much better. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these corners on these cards. We'll take a quick glance, but know that they're good. And by the way, see that little dot up there? That is fairly consistent with this card as a whole. Can you hear that yapping dog in the background? I live on a bluff. I'm going to go to the neighbor's house. I'm going to throw it over the bluff here in about 2 seconds. The edges, you can see a little arrow issue there, excuse me, where I'm putting my arrow. Same thing here. So again, this might be why it got an 8, but I think the ruling here is that this part at the bottom where you have the team name and the position, again, not perfect. You got some dots here and there. So I think that is what made the issue on this card, along with some centering. Jump into the 9. And by the way, of all 4 of these cards that I'm showing you out of the 8 that I have, this one was centered the best, and it's certainly not perfect, which tells you that if you're centered perfect on the back, it's probably not going to be too good on the front. All right, let's go to the 9. Now, again, from a distance, top to bottom, centering's pretty good. Left to right, again, wider on the right, but I have to believe that when PSA goes in here, they're doing what I'm doing in a different way, and they're going, okay, how about the coloration here? Because that's the issue with this card, where you got that dot like all these do. Okay, so we're not going to grade you down on that. Centering was a little bit off, so we're going to whack you there a little bit. There's a little bit of a print issue there. Couple little dots here and there, but overall a lot better. So a 9, I get it. Now it's beginning to add up. Does it make sense when you go to the 10 is the question. By the way, the back on this card, not perfect. As we saw on the front, more heavily weighted to what there was the right, and now on the back, the left. So that's the 9 in the PSA. What is a 9 getting you for Scotty? Is it 200, 250, I think? I think that's about right. Maybe even a little bit more. The 10, it's going for as high as $2 grand, 1,500 to $2 grand. So why did this get it a 10? I think we know the conclusion. And by the way, there's a couple of little, I'll call them specks on here that are on the holder, and that is not on the card. So now you can see where there are very little issues with the ink adhering to the card. And look at the edges. I mean, same thing, consistently strong. That little dot there again on the holder. Look at this on the left and the right, really clean. That dot on the holder. And now look at the bottom. You're going to want to look for this when you submit 88s, and especially any Chicago Bulls related stuff, because obviously the Jordan, whatever number card that is that 17? I can't remember, is going to have this potential issue. So when you're submitting them, and if they have those white specks and you don't want a 7, don't want to waste the money, because arguably if I spent $20 submitting this card and I'm going to get 70 out of it because it's a 7, one could say, man, I don't know if you should have spent money on that. Depends on your frame of reference, I suppose. So there's the 10. And by the way, remember how the 8 was centered? Let's look at the back of this one. Okay, there's the centering. I guess it must have met the tolerances. Maybe they felt bad for me because I submitted 8 of these things and I only got 110. But here's the back of the 8. Way better. So that is that. Let me see if I can get out of this guy. And let me see if it'll allow me to jump to our next submission. I hope this will show up. I'm assuming this does. This is Dominique Wilkins. So this is the rest of that initial submission. And as I mentioned on that initial submission, this card is so hard to get really highly graded because the centering typically is awful. And then there's some other things, and we'll talk about that as we go along here. And the first thing is 7.5. I don't know if that'll get you $70 or something like that. Probably shouldn't have got this graded as I learned more about it. But here's my mistake, my bad as far as the good, the bad, and the ugly. And by the way, as you saw, the Pippins, the 9s and the 10s were definitely good. No complaints there. So the corners are good. Now, as we have mentioned before on this card and these cards as a whole, the edges can be a problem because they're frayed, and I think this has got to be where a blade has cut the card, and or it was at the end of a sheet, and this is the way the ends of the sheets. But whatever it was dull when it cut it, because you can see what I would call tearing. So let's go to the bottom of this card. 7.5, Dominique Wilkins, Fleer rookie sticker card. It's good. Maybe argue that that right-hand corner is a little soft. I don't know. But here's what I learned. Now I'm going to point out the issue. See these black dots here? I actually believe, and it might be worth cracking this one, that that's something I could have perhaps cleaned up. And you guys probably know the nylon trick that you use to get wax off of stickers. I think the same thing might apply there. So very disappointing. Love this card, and I love the way Fleer designed it. Speaking of which, here's the back of the card, pretty square. This thing kind of turns into a bit of a trapezoid. By that I mean, as you see, the upper left-hand corner is wider, where the print of the sticker connects to the actual corner than it is on the right side, so it's a little lopsided. And the same thing on this 8 that I got for this Patrick Ewing. What a gorgeous card this is as well. And by the way, who is that he's guarding? You know, this is all by memory, but I think James Donaldson, did he get traded to the Clippers? Is that possible? Anyway, that's who I think that is. It looks like it. He also played for the Sonics. That's a guess. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. By the way, Mitch, Triple Double Sports Cards, please subscribe. Maybe give me a like. That'd be nice too. But mostly comments, suggestions, thoughts about what you think about these grades on these cards, maybe why I got them, maybe something I'm saying that I'm missing out. Oh, the reason, no. The reason you got a 7 is also because, and the reason that you got as high as a 10 was because here's they grade that Pippen card. Your advice, greatly appreciated. And for anybody who's subscribing, they'll want to see your feedback, of course, too. Here's the back of the Patrick Ewing, a little askew, like we said, similar to what Dominique was. Here's Larry Bird. Okay, so centering's not perfect, either left to right or top to bottom. Let's take a quick look at, I didn't look at the corners on that Ewing. They were really, really good. They look just like this Bird card. So I submitted these as my first submission because I thought they'd do okay. I actually thought they'd do better. Now that I look at this Bird, the Patrick Ewing corners were all sharp. This lower left-hand corner could very well be the reason that I got my grade knocked down to an 8. These are kind of fun cards. Larry looks so fashionable there with his interesting looking mustache. I know you can't even see it, right? Sorry, Larry, if you're watching, and I'm sure you are. All right. So there's the back of the sticker, and now the Akeem Elijah one. So here's part of the good, and then we're going to get into some more good or fun, because what I'm going to do is we're going to study this 9 that I got back from PSA, and then if you folks watch my last video, I just submitted for the icon of all icons, number 57, Fleer rookie card, Michael Jordan. Now, they haven't even landed there yet. Or they're probably sitting in their system because you know how long it takes, even though it was express. But they're going to get them this week, and they're going to grade them this week, and I'll get them back. And thank you, folks, for when you watch my video, you gave me your pre-submission thoughts, meaning I think a couple of them said, well, you might get an 8 or 8.5. You got some 7s in there. I think that one's a 6.5. You know what? Probably right. But we're going to go to court here because I got a 9 here. I'm going to look at one of those pre-submission cards, and I'm going to have you tell me whether you think this is a higher grade card than the one I have not got back yet from my friends at PSA. And I'm going to make a case, and I'm going to take it one more level. So let's dig into this PSA 9. Let's see here. Ooh, she's freezing on me. Why are you doing that? Because I got to do that, I think. All right. So, well, maybe I'll just pinch it for this particular case. For some reason, it doesn't want to maximize, but this is good enough. All right. top, left, top, right. Looks good. By the way, let me see if I can use my crow's foot here. So that is on every Olajuwon card you're going to get. Let's go down the card. So here's what's interesting about this card. On the left side, again, it looks like it might have had a bad blade because there's a lot of fraying, or I would say texture, or paper fiber is probably the best way to explain that. There's paper fiber on the left side because it didn't get cut well, and there's fraying on the right for probably wear more than anything else. So we'll go down this card. Remember, got a 9. Oh, Maurice Lucas, former Trailblazer, ABA star, later years with the Lakers. A little older by then, Olajuwon would consistently. Sorry, I keep thinking all these guys are watching my video. Mo Lucas, but I don't want to say maybe he passed away. Anyway, Maurice, he struggled against Olajuwon. It was not a good thing. Lakers struggled against these guys. So again, fraying on the right edge, and then some fiber issue. I'm going to coin a phrase there. Fiber issue on the left, but not a big deal. Lower right-hand corner, a little bit of chipping there, but the corners themselves are really good. So I say, oh, interesting. That's what a 9 will get you. So let me zap this, and hopefully all this stuff is working here. Pull that over there. I'm going to get rid of this up here. And I hope you can see this Jordan card. So this is one of the 4 that I submitted. And now we're going to have some fun. We're going to, as I said, we're going to go to court. Remember what that Olajuwon looked like. Okay. Not sure where that, I don't know if you saw that, but that was dancing a little bit. I'm going to move me over here just for the moment. All right, I think that fits into the screen well enough. So this is my card. This is the left corner and the right corner. Remember what we had for the Olajuwon, very similar. One might say that that top edge has a tiny bit of paint wear. I don't know, or ink wear, I should say. I don't know what if anything, I'm going to grade it down on that, but it could be. Here's what's different. This left-hand edge is perfect. This right-hand edge, wow, it's pretty good. So, you know, I'm campaigning for a 9 here. We'll go back and look at one other thing here in just a minute. So let's go to now look at the edges. I mean, they're pretty good. Better than Olajuwon, I think. Look at the left-hand corner. It's perfect. Right-hand corner, let me move it just a little bit. So the corner's perfect, but it does have some chipping. Is that enough to take it away from a 9? Heaven forbid a 10? I don't know. We're going to find out. But here, I guess the only other issue is, oh, I keep freezing a little bit there. How's that centering? To me, top to bottom is good. I mean, by good, I mean it's close to perfect. Left to right, I get it. The left's a little bit thicker than the right. Again, I want to thank you for your time. It's Mitch. It's Triple Double Sports Cards. And, oh, by the way, a prelude to the next video
The voicemail box of
for more
Please record your voice message.
Jordan rookie cards, 86 footer. We're going to take a look at those pre-submission, and then we're going to send those off to PSA. And then I think you're going to find those next 4 really interesting relative to what we just saw. Debatable about where they're going to go for sure, and that'll be my next video. So again, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, folks.